I got here in the shop a 2006 Mazda 3, and it has a 2.0 engine in here. Let me see what it says. 2.0. Okay, it's a 2006, and the problem with this vehicle is it had no reverse. Okay, it had no reverse, and when we dropped the pan, it had metal inside the pan in the transmission. So the transmission for this is over here. This is the one that came out, and you see all of the debris in the pan. Had no reverse. Okay, so the transmission had an issue. All right, so I got this apart. A lot of times I'd like to take them apart to verify there is a problem. So what we did was put a transmission in. Let's get back over to where the car is. Put a transmission in, and when you put it in reverse, a code will come up. P0753. Shift solenoid A electrical. If I clear the code and start it up, as long as I didn't move the gear selector, it would be fine. Check engine light would go out and it would show nothing. But I put it in reverse. P0753, shift solenoid circuit problem. All right, so now that led me to testing the solenoid. We get to that. All right, this is the bottom of the Mazda, and the shift solenoid that was giving the issue is this one right here. That's shift solenoid A on a Mazda. Okay, on a Ford it's supposed to be something different, but on a Mazda this is shift solenoid A. There's three big solenoids on this side, and the one closest to the radiator on the driver's side is shift solenoid A. However, another way of looking at it, here's the EPC, so it's right directly behind the EPC, pretty much almost directly behind it. Anyway, so now what I did is ohms test that solenoid, and I was getting 2.4 volts, 2.4 ohms. Let's see if I can test it here and let you see it. Alright, I hold it down. Now I'm going to test this solenoid, and it's showing 2.4 ohms. Okay, 2.4, 2.5 ohms. Okay, that's what it's supposed to show. 2.4 ohms. So the solenoid electrically is not showing a problem. Okay, it's not showing a problem. All the other solenoids are that range, 2.4, 2.5. Now there's something I'm going to do, okay, and this idea was told to me before. I forgot about it and was reminded by Mr. Jerry Gott, ATSG. So I'm going to try it, and I'll show you what that is. Okay, what am I going to do? What I'm going to do, this solenoid, this is the shift solenoid A. I am going to disconnect this solenoid and put this somewhere out of the way. Then I'm going to take the transmission pan and put this back up. Okay, put the transmission pan back up, and I am going to fill this back up with transmission fluid. Then I'm going to go up to the top where the harness goes into the case connector, and I'm going to cut the wire, leave some on, cut the wire, and I'm going to tie on a connector and hook another solenoid on the outside. It's going to be one of these. I'm going to hook the solenoid on the outside of the transmission and ground it to the ground it to the battery. And then I'm going to clip up by the computer. And then I'm going to see, well, actually I'll probably clip here first. And then I'm going to ground the solenoid. Turn the vehicle on, put it in reverse, and then see if I still get a P0753. By that, what I have done there is eliminated this solenoid because I'm going to be tied to another solenoid that's on the outside of the transmission. The computer doesn't know the solenoid is on the outside of the transmission, okay? So it doesn't know what's going on. The only thing it knows is it's connected to a solenoid. Now, if I still get that P0753, when I'm hooked to a different solenoid on the outside, then that's going to be either somewhere in this wiring or the computer is going to be telling a lie. Okay? Either the computer is defective or something. So let me put the pan back up on here. I already got this disconnected. And then I'll show you what I'm about to do next. Alright. I have this focused on the wire harness that's down there. And that one over there, this one, is the harness or the wire that goes to shift solenoid A. This is a green with a white. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut that. Alright, so I'm going to cut that. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this connector here and tie it. I'm going to hook it to this solenoid here. Like this. Oh. Then I'm going to tie this one to the wire that I cut and this to ground. And then I'm going to start the vehicle up and put it in reverse and see if it still throws a solenoid code. So this solenoid is going to be hanging on the outside. I already got the pan up. You already saw that. Now I got to put the fluid in. Again, this is going to be tied to this wire that I'm about to cut. I'm going to tie it to it, and I'm going to have this part going to ground. We're going to see if that P073 come back up. If it does, with this solenoid on, there's something in this computer or in the wiring somewhere. Now this is just one way of trying to find out, but that means also you would probably have to have a solenoid. Alright, if you look at this here, I have that wire cut down there. It's cut, and I have this wire hooked to it, and it's hooked to there, and it's going over here. Where is that? To the solenoid right there. So it's hooked over here to the solenoid, to the green wire. Then I have another hooked to the blue that's going over to the battery ground over there. Okay, so now I have the solenoid grounded. I have the control wire hooked to a solenoid that's on the outside that has the right ohms. Okay, you saw what I did. I disconnected everything. I got the transmission fluid back in. Now what I'm gonna do is start this up, put it in gear, and see if that check engine light come on, and if it still throw that code. If it still throws that code, the P0753 code, it can't be the solenoid on the inside of the transmission because it's not hooked up. It's only hooked up to the one on the outside over here. So that means it's going to be somewhere else, and possibly it's going to be that computer that's bad. So let me start to put this other stuff together, mass airflow and everything. That solenoid probably going to start buzzing. Put that there because it won't want to start with it. Put this back on. Alright, so alright, I got that solenoid right over here. Okay, I got everything. Everything is hooked up. Started up. Let me make sure I clear the code. I'm gonna see if that code come back. All right, folks, it came back. So it can't be the solenoid. I'm going to show you. You already see that I'm hooked to a different solenoid right here. So let's go in here and let me show you what I did here. Shucks. Okay, what we have is the key is off, and the check engine light comes in on that side. So we start it up. This ignition is on. It's in park. No check engine light is on, and it's in park there. So now I am going to put it in reverse right away. Check engine light comes on in reverse. So I'm going to put it back in park, and I'm going to turn it off. And then we're going to look to see what the scanner said caused the light to come on. So right here, oh, I got to turn the ignition back on. We're going to see what happened. There it goes. P0753. Shift solenoid A electrical. Now, as you saw, that I'm not connected to the shift solenoid that's inside the bottom of the pan. I'm connected to another shift solenoid on the outside of the pan. So it can't be the shift solenoid that's causing an issue. Cannot be whatsoever. So now the next step is going to be going to the computer where that wire goes to the computer. Now what I may do is cut the wire for the shift solenoid that goes just before it goes into the computer to make sure there's no problem there. Okay, and then go directly from the computer to the solenoid, see if it happens there. That will eliminate my having an issue with the wiring if it comes back on again. Okay, so P0753 still came on with that shift solenoid. Something is wrong, so we're going to try something else. Okay, the wire for the computer is right here. That goes to shift solenoid A, and I could cut it right there, right here. So now I'm going to go from here to the shift solenoid. So there shouldn't be no solenoid A circuit code because it's not hooked inside the transmission harness. It has its own ground, and it also is going to have its own circuit going from here to here. Okay, so now let me all right, now let me get that other part of it. It's at the bottom down here. All right, so now I'm hooked right here on the computer, going directly to this solenoid that's sitting over here, which is a good solenoid. Okay, and let me set this here in case it vibrates or something. I don't know if it was moving or nothing, but so now I'm going straight from the computer to the solenoid, so I'm not even in the harness, and I'm going straight from the ground over to that ground of the computer, or the battery ground. So everything is fine there. Let me make sure this got a good ground here. Let me do a test. Make sure that's a good ground. Make sure I got a good ground. This is the ground. Battery positive. Ground. Yep, got it. It's good. So the ground's good. Yep. All right, so that's good. Now, okay, so where are we? Computer to the solenoid that's sitting over this side here. Now let's go and see what happens. Let's see what happens. Boy, back inside this thing. Ooh. All right, check engine light is on. I don't know if I erased the code, so let me make sure I erase that P0753 code. Yes. All right, so it's erased. Now, once again, this won't turn the light on until after I move the gear selector to reverse. So the light is out. I'm gonna move the gear selector to reverse. Check engine light come back on again. All right. So put it back in park. Turn the ignition on. We're gonna see what came back. If it was the P770 or P0, what is it? P0753. So back to here. Turn ignition. Let me see. Okay, we're gonna press here. Press it on. Here it is. P0753 shift solenoid A electrical. So this here shows that it's not in the transmission. It's not the shift solenoid. There's something else wrong. That's not even in the harness. We know that too. It's not in the harness. So that leads us somewhere to the computer. Now with the computer, we're going to have to be checking our powers and our grounds and all of that stuff. Always get the problem. Always get the computer problem. It's the very last thing that people say the computer is bad, but for me, it's never that way. It's never that way. But we're going to see if this computer fixes this issue. I got to talk to the customer now and let him know that he has more than one problem. Bad transmission, which had no reverse, and also a shift solenoid A circuit code. So he had two problems at one time. All right, folks, so we know what it's not. We know that it's not the shift solenoid inside the transmission pan, because we're hooked to this solenoid over there. We know it's not anything in the wire harness, because we created our own wire harness by running from the computer over directly to the solenoid. And we ran our ground from the solenoid to the battery ground. So we know it's not that. So what can it be? What would you say? Probably this computer. Now I can see where it seemed like somebody put a computer in here. I don't know how long, but it has this type of writing on there, so maybe it went bad inside. But I do know that this is where it's leading me to, this right here. Now this could probably, I'm sure, been tested a different way. Perhaps maybe I could have hooked to that control wire, which is that green wire, and see if the computer was controlling the solenoid on and off. Okay. There could have been other ways. Any one other way they could have tried it, but this is a way that I decided to try based on what Mr. Jerry Gott at ATSG told me. Now, he's told me this many times before, and I just kind of forgot. Sometimes that's why it's good to be able to be a member of certain places, organizations, because they can remind you. They're like the generals who sit on top of the mountain while we're in the battlefield watching down, or a coach on the side of the stands there while we up there in the game. There are some things they will be able to see and remember because they're not in the heat of the thing, whereas you may forget. So the only thing you have to do is know what they're talking about and not be lazy and just implement it. So what do you think? What would you say was wrong with this? I'm saying there's a problem with the computer.